Good morning, live from San Francisco. I'm Sid, CEO at GitLab, and this is the general group conversation. Kenny, you have the first question. Do you want to verbalize it?
Yeah, I'm typing, but I'll go ahead and start. I was interested in that merge request you highlighted about adding performance indicators to job families. I think that's great. It certainly helps provide clarity to team members as kind of like a core contributor to at least the product manager job family. I'm wondering if there's a plan for us to kind of systematically go through existing job families to update. And I also noticed that the description in the handbook about what should be in a job family is not universally, I don't know, applied to all job families in the handbook today.
Yeah, that's really well said. So this comes from the biggest risks at GitLab, and I'll add the link to the. Oh, there's not a second item, so I'm gonna enter and then space out a few. Thanks. So there's risks as we scale the company. And one of the most common things that happens in a big company is that people say, I don't know what's expected of me, which is really horrible, because then if you don't know what's expected of you, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to make yourself effective. You don't know what to focus on. It introduces inefficiency. It introduces inefficiency because people don't know what they need to do. It introduces inefficiency because managers don't know what they need to manage to. And it introduces inefficiency because apparently there's not a task to be done. So instead, you're starting to focus on being liked, and things devolve into focusing on politics instead of results. So if you give a job description to someone, the most important thing is what is expected of you. What does success look like? What does success look like is like the number one thing people ask in interviews. Well, guess what? We should write it down. What does success look like? What is an indicator or that you're performing in the role? And of course, metrics are not everything, but metrics are a great start to something. So we're going to write them into roles. And I agree that we don't adhere well to the job family structure. Maybe someone can link the job family structure. If you go to that page and click on the history button, you'll see that I made an edit there yesterday, trying to clean some things up. I think it was a bit convoluted. There was an overview section. I think we should drop the overview section. I left it in, but I wonder if someone from PeopleOps, if they agree with me, can push for that change. I don't think it needs an overview. I think we can have just the responsibilities and the other things that are on that page. So the short answer is yes, I totally think we should add performance indicators to existing job families. I'll take the liberty to discuss a little bit what the next strategy milestone is. We have the plan to become a public company next year, November 18, 2020. That is not a finish line. There's no finish line in business. That's a nice thing about it. It can just keep going on as long as you have a great people, great process, and a great product. You can keep going. And I wanted to draw the next kind of set of goals we want. On our cadence page, it said we had a cadence of 4 years. I thought that was a bit long, so I reduced that to 3 years, and I put a stick in the sand so that by November 18, 2023, we want to grow incremental ACV to over 500 million ARR and be cash flow positive. Current projections are we're cash flow positive in the first quarter of that year, fiscal year, but why not? It's okay to be early. It's not okay to be late. want to be a popular next generation product. So I want to make sure every part of GitLab is lovable. And we have over 100 million staged monthly active users. Currently, we have about 5 to 10. It's not super clear. And we have a great team, team satisfaction of 4.0 on a scale of 1 to 5, and great new hires. And I introduced this concept called new hire score. I don't know how to score new hires, but I think we should start doing that. Even though it might not be a perfect metric, I think it's really important that we keep putting the bar and bar higher for the people we hire.
Okay, Sid, I'll bite on a question. Just reviewing that MR, and it's hard for me to tell because there seems to be some format change and content change, but is part of that change the removal of, there's previously a statement about going public. After going public, we want to be the most popular SaaS solution for public repositories. Was there an intent to remove that, or is that being removed? Or is there a suggestion that that is removed?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, that was the intention, to remove it. But the time we wrote kind of this ambition, it was written very much in the thinking of doing repositories. And that's 3 years ago. We were just repositories. We since evolved to a single application for the DevOps lifecycle. Currently, it looks like for public repositories on software as a service, that GitHub is not going away anytime soon. I think because we're a single application, we're going to see more and more people coming over to GitLab.com over time. We're seeing more and more imports, so that is happening. But I don't want to focus the company on that, because kind of focusing us on that is kind of saying like, hey, we're in the repository business. And the number one change we have to make is understanding that we're in the DevOps business, not in the repository business. So although we could get to that goal, I don't want to focus the company on that. We should focus on our customers, making sure that we have mature things in all the DevOps lifecycle that are used by people. And whether someone else has more repositories than us and is the default place, GitHub being the default place for open source, they can be, as long as we have a lot of usage, a lot of product, and make a lot of revenue with it. I think that those are the important things. Then number one goal of the company is IACV, not another metric.
Hey, Sid, Brandon here. I was going to jump in. I know you had a lot of conversations in the non-deal roadshow. Just wondering if there are any patterns that fell out of that you walked away and said, interesting, might have changed the way you viewed or some focuses that we currently have.
Yeah, thanks. I want to add one thing that I remembered about the previous question. I think the old sequence, and most of it got removed right now, was just to specify that even though GitHub was the most popular open source SaaS service, we had a shot at this market because there weren't any network effects in private hosting, even private SaaS. And I think we've proven that. We've proven that we can grow, even though GitHub is still the biggest on public SaaS. So I think we've proven that, and there's no need to articulate that anymore. I think we're now seen as a kind of a valid contender, and people see that there's not a super big network effect to the repositories for companies. So in that sense, it served its purpose. Brandon, thanks for the question. I think that a few things stood out. By the way, McBride, I think, will do the group conversation tomorrow. So he's going to be very articulate about what we learned. But a few things stood out. First of all, we still are not communicating well enough that GitLab is a single application for the DevOps lifecycle. Still, a lot of customers that we met came in with the assumption that we were repository hosting, maybe with some CI, even though they talk with salespeople before. So I think it's a combination of us not empowering our salespeople enough to tell that story, and just it being really hard to convince someone that you're something that you've changed. The second thing is that everyone is seeing the problem of tool sprawl, having too many DevOps tools, and the consolidation is happening. We're in the lead. Microsoft is clearly also a contender. And it's surprising that after that, there's a long pause. There's not a lot of other companies that are successful in making this transformation. We're seeing the moves in the marketplace where people are kind of buying other companies and things like that, but there's not a lot of mind share. I just posted a video in the marketing channel. Maybe someone can link it from the agenda, or I posted a screenshot of a video, and people are picking up on our story. Yes, it makes sense. If I run an organization, I'm not going to maintain 10 or 20 different tools. That is resonating. And it's ours for the taking, but people have to see us have to see an increase in maturity across all these different things. But the basic, we're on the money. DevOps is taking off. People want to consolidate their tools, and if we are the best option, people will pick us. But we got a great competitor in Microsoft, and we're going to hear more and more about that.
Sid, I have a question. It's kind of related to that. What do you see as the 3 to 5 biggest macro trends that our customers are facing that we can provide the most value for? So one that comes to mind would be the big move to Kubernetes. That's something that we clearly seem to have an advantage on in the market. Do you see any other trends that you can describe with us a little bit?
Yeah, so on the biggest risk page on the bottom, I document what isn't a risk. And that's because we have multiple waves that we're riding. Oh, by the way, we forgot about one of those. I had a tweet today, and it had more than 100 retweets or something. Let's not forget about all remote. But digital transformation, cloud native, and Kubernetes, software eating the world, every company becoming a software company. The trend to focus on customer experience, DevOps tooling consolidation, microservices, progressive delivery, open source, workloads moving from self-hosted to the cloud, all remote. All of these things are benefiting us. So these are trends that we're seeing everywhere.
Hey, so that quick question, kind of following on to the 500 million in ARR. I was just trying to think through in my own head, what that would mean as far as license mix to how to get there, and percentage of the broader market. I was just doing some quick Googling here. It seems like there's 25 million developers in the world today. So maybe 10% of the people, those people on silver seems actually pretty achievable in looking at it in more detail. I wonder if you had some thoughts on that, sort of what that would mean as some of those terms.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So if you look at developers and operations people, it's about 20 million developers and 20 million kind of operations/security people. So together, that's 40 million. And then if you take a mix of 40, 40, 20, so 40% on starter, 40% on premium, and 20% on ultimate, that averages out to about $350 per user per year. Times 40 million gives you a total addressable market of 14 million, $14 billion. So at half a $500 million, we've captured only 1/28 of that market. That's about 3% or something like that. So it's still very, very, very small compared to the total size of the market. It's 3.5%. So we need 3.5% of the people to pay for GitLab. Now, GitLab will have a huge market share. Suppose we have 30% market share, then we need to convert, or 35%, 33%, we need to convert about 10%. So I think we already have a third market share with our Git hosting. I think we're already converting about 10%. So this seems achievable. It's just a question of upselling people and making sure we get the operations and security people in. And I actually think like there's no reason why GitLab should not be used by the majority of the market. Market share over 50%, and conversion should be over 20%.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Josh.
He said this, John May. How are you doing? Wanted to see if you could give us a rundown on how your trip went to Europe and the DOES event and what feedback we.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the question. I kind of gave the feedback for the DOES event earlier when Brendan asked this question. So I'll now give feedback from the investors on the roadshow because I didn't answer that question. So a recap of the feedback from customers. They're not totally aware yet of single application. We're still talking too much about version control and CI. They have a need for tool consolidation. And the only competitor is Microsoft. And regarding the investors, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. We got amazing ARR growth. We got amazing net retention. Net retention right now is the hottest metric on Wall Street. So they're really paying attention because net retention is a good indicator that people love the product and that you're not just brute forcing it with marketing and sales. Our net retention numbers are off the charts. They've never seen something like that before. And the cohorts look good. It's great that our earlier customers are still growing. The margins look good. We don't have a lot of costs. We get like 80, 85, 90% gross margins. That is also best in class. Gross retention is about average, like around 90%-ish. That's what they expect. So all in all, it's a really good story. We went out with a very ambitious valuation target. That's not going to be easy to reach. We'll see what happens.
And I was kind of meaning, I should have probably defined it a little bit better for you. I meant maybe more the customers that are more advanced and have been using some of the other aspects like CI/CD and things like that. I know there were a couple of my customers in particular that went there, and just like to get that kind of feedback. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm really encouraged that, for example, we have a customer in the computer who makes a lot of computers, and they are now asked, their number one request to us was of more operations features. So it's kind of cool to see that the operations features are starting to resonate. So I think the CI is great, and I'm very encouraged what's coming up in 12.2 CI-wise. The CD people are starting to use, it's good. And the operations people are starting to embrace that. I think people are okay with the maturity as it is now, as long as we continue to rapidly improve. And that's going to be the name of the game: execution on each of those categories. Like we have, I don't know, 70 categories or something, and to kind of push each of them forward every month, every quarter. No company has done that before, but we have that ambition, and so far we're managing to do that. And where we're falling short, we're taking action, and we're doing that again. And I think that's going to be something customers like to want to see. Also, want to focus more on customer results. So as an organization, we're getting more attentive to like the needs of especially our larger customers. So I'm encouraged by that trend. And as long as we can do those two things, both listen to our customers and push the maturity forward, I think we'll do absolutely amazing. Cool. I don't see any other questions. Thanks for the questions, everyone. Have a great day.